I always felt that child-free people who say that parents don't even like their kids were just being mean, but my eyes were opened after reading this Reddit string.
Hey beautiful people, how you all doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you all doing? Hope you guys are doing great. Okay, it's Sunday morning here. I hope you guys are fantastic. Anyway, today's video is a video of a child-free woman who came on TikTok to literally call out parents that don't like their kids. So what happened is that this woman, this black queen, child-free woman, she usually creates content around child-free. She's in her 40s and she's letting people know how she's living her best life. And she said in her comment section, she got this comment section saying that most parents don't like their kids. And she decided to go do some research on it, and some of the things she found on Reddit of parents complaining and talking about their children that they don't like. Ooh! Anyway guys, I need you guys to see the video, hear what she has to say, then we'll come back and talk.
There's parents out there who don't even like their kids. That's what one of you left on one of my last child-free posts, and that sort of blew my mind, and I don't know why, but I thought I would do a little research into it, and I found an entire subreddit devoted to parents who don't like their kids. There were parents complaining about how much they can't stand being touched all the time. That actually resonated with me because I'm not a touchy-feely, affectionate person. That totally makes sense when you have a couple of toddlers all over you, touching you all the time. There were a lot of people complaining also about how heartbreaking it is to have their stuff broken all the time. All the stuff that they have accumulated over the years, and they have toddlers who just come and break everything. Now that's a minor thing, but yeah, I get that. There were also a lot of posts going on about how disappointed people were in their children. I don't know. I think this says a lot about the age that we're in. We all expect a lot, so on and so forth. We're all low on patience and tolerance. But it was just so eye-opening reading the post from this group. I always felt that child-free people who say that parents don't even like their kids were just being mean. But my eyes were opened after reading this Reddit string. Is it called a string? The other most prevalent post was how tired all of these parents are. Like, so exhausted, so tired beyond belief that they can't function, they can't open their eyes, they can't take a minute to recover from the flu, recover from being sick. There were so many entries about just so desperately wanting to sleep in. Oh my God, I didn't realize so many parents out there were struggling.
Please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation, amazing conversation. So go down in the comment section and share your thoughts, okay? This got a lot of people talking, child-free people, parents, mothers, children, talking about how it's true that some parents don't really like their kids. And for me, this is really a bigger conversation, an interesting conversation. I personally, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about this topic, because I can see African parents here like tossing, like But anyway guys, let's go hear other people's thoughts on this topic, then I'll come back and share my thoughts on it.
There's parents out there who don't even like their kids.
Let's talk about it. I was at my goddaughter's sweet 16 party a few months ago. I was speaking with an elderly lady because she was like, oh, when are you having the next one, etc. And I was like, honestly, I've already made my masterpiece. There is no part two. And she commended me because she was like, you know what? I should have had the same mentality as you. And she's like, not that I regret my children, but she has 5. She's like, not that I regret my children, but I should have stopped at 2. And I was like, wow, well, that's really insightful of you and very honest. Thank you for sharing that with me. And she was like, I don't know which 2, but I had 5 children. It was too many children. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was too young. Everyone was just telling me, have your kids, have your kids. Kids are important. And she wasn't really thinking long term. She was just more thinking like, this is what she is supposed to do. Now, with that said, the person who I stitched this with, like, I understand there's some people who regret having their children, and, that's something that they have to figure out and work through. But also, I do think that things are changing, where a lot of women who once felt obligated, like, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm here for, I'm supposed to procreate and make children, be fruitful. I think it's now changing, where women are now feeling more empowered to be like, you know what, this is not for me. This is not the life I want. And I think there's tremendous courage, because there's so many people out here like, you need to have kids, you need to, all of this. And at the end of the day, there's some people out here full on regretting having their children. I'm not trying to judge, but I just think that it's super insightful that some people are taking the time to really process and understand what it is to be a parent, and bringing a person, because people think it's a baby, but bringing a real person, a living person into this world, and everything that comes with. So, yeah, shout out to you guys who choose not to have children. And shout out to those who do have children. And for those who regret having their children, I hope you find some type of peace and seek therapy to work through this.
Parents out there who don't even like their kids.
Yeah, they're called immigrant parents. Now, don't get me wrong, I think they love us a lot more than most parents. I mean, at least that's what I've noticed. As long as I'm obedient and subservient to my parents and give them that level of respect, things are good. Because they don't really care who you are as a person, because individualism isn't something that Indians really do. So then you're in this weird limbo state where, like, I love my parents and they love me, but they don't know who I am. They don't know anything about me. They don't care to even know. Trust me, I've tried. And the funny thing is, they don't see anything wrong with that. And it might not be wrong, but it's put me in a weird position as an adult who bases his relationships on the interests I have, people respecting my identity, and so on and so forth. And as I've gotten older, it's just like the conversations are so stale. It's always about work, money, and it just makes me feel very just like empty about the whole thing. But then again, I know they love me, so it puts me in this weird position. Is what it is, I guess.
There's parents out there who don't even like their kids.
I think I just found one of the subreddits he was talking about. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of the top posts. Discourage parenting and 10 bullet points. 1, it's expensive. Duh. Number 2, stress is out of this world. I can only imagine. 3, it never ends until you become unalive. Whew. That's a hard pill to swallow right there. Number 4, did he mention the cost? Duh. Number 5, you used to just work. Now you do school runs and medical appointments on top of work. That has to be stressful. Number 6, your spouse may fall out of love and you no longer want to be together. Well, those little bundles of joy will not make the life any easier splitting up. That's so sad. I am a child of divorce and I get it. 7, your kids may develop a number of mental or physical problems or may be born with them. Kids is born with severe autism, non-communication, and full of rage. Good luck. This gig is for life. I'm so sorry. Number 8, enjoy their surly teenage years. Whew. Number 9, enjoy their loudmouth friends and partners. All right, number 10, we have, even if you have a great relationship with your kids, the days of putting you first are over forever. And if you don't have a great relationship, I hope that you really enjoy rows and having doors slammed on you. To finish, if you are a smug, child-free lurker, you have made a good call.
There's parents out there who don't even like their kids. That's what one of you left on one of my last child.
Can we talk about this? Because I really feel like a lot of women, a lot of couples, a lot of people in general right now are starting to realize that they don't want kids. And parenthood has never seemed less attractive, I think, historically. And I think it's because a lot of us are coming to terms that we grew up with a lot of childhood trauma. And that trauma may have been in part due to some hard truths that we're facing about our parents, that perhaps they didn't want to be parents. Perhaps they didn't want us. And I know that sounds really, but I think some of us may have felt that, or they just didn't know what they were getting themselves into. So where does that leave us?
Parents out there who don't even like their kids. That's what one of you left on one of my last child.
In that creator's video, she's talking about all the valid reasons why some parents do not like being parents. So go back and give that a listen. But if you want to hear somebody talk about this from an astrological, but also like a very like humanistic perspective, give this podcast a listen. It's an astrology podcast, but I listen to it all the time. It's episode 303. But yeah, in that episode, the host, like Jessica Liniato, love her so much. But she talks about how some people just aren't like hardwired to like having people around or like being touched, which isn't necessarily like a parent thing or even about their children, but it's just like how they are like hardwired as people, right? Although if I'm remembering this episode correctly, I do believe that this parent specifically, she did like her daughter, but she didn't like being a parent, which I also think are like, that's an interesting clarification to think about. But yeah, give these parents some grace because being a parent is not easy and it's not fun.
Research into it, and I found an entire subreddit devoted to parents who don't like.
So I just want to say I knew it. I knew y'all were lying out here. I knew it wasn't giving. I know I'm not the only one on TikTok who has childhood trauma. And what Dominique is talking about in that video is actually that there is a Reddit thread full of parents complaining about their kids, talking about how they, wreck stuff and how they don't like their kids and how they ruin things for them. And it's so crazy because I'm sitting here thinking, or I have been my whole life being like, dang, I don't think my parents were really meant to be parents, and I don't think they were necessarily good ones. I'm not saying that to be spiteful. I'm saying that because the kinds of people they were ill-equipped. And let's just be for real, parents, do not sit there on Reddit quietly complaining about your kids. Let the other fertile people in the room know that this is your experience, and I think we can save a lot of people from childhood trauma.
There's parents out there who don't even like their kids. That's what one of you left on one of my last child.
There's actually a lot of truth to this. And this is something I've seen in action over the years. Again, I've been child-free since before social media became popular, back in the days of LiveJournal and AOL chat rooms. But most importantly, I've seen this in action in the last few years, especially with the pandemic. Now, here's the thing about modern parenting. A lot of people have kids, but they foist those kids off on literally everything and everybody else. Nannies, daycare, grandparents, after school programs. I get it, okay, these are all great things for the kids, but guess what they also do? They put distance between the parent and the child. And the thing is, when the pandemic happened, of course, everything got shut down. We were all asked to spend 2 weeks at home. Parents were going out of their entire minds about being at home with the kids for 2 weeks. Think about this. Please, take as long as you want to think about it. Parents were actually complaining about spending time with the kids that they chose to have. Mind you, these are probably the same parents who harp on child-free people for being child-free. Again, take as much time to think about it as you want. But the fact is, a lot of parents definitely do not like their children, do not like spending time with their children, resent that they had children, all the while not once realizing that it was their own choice to have children that they now resent for existing. I cannot understand parent logic. It doesn't make sense to me. But the fact remains is that this is actually a very complex phenomenon. And also, hearkening back to just maybe a year and a half ago, schools reopened after the COVID shutdown. Parents were all over themselves sending their kids back to school. Never mind that their kids might have brought COVID home on the first day. Parents were risking getting sick. Parents were risking having a deadly illness come through the house just to get their kids out of the house. If that is not an accurate illustration of how parents really feel about the kid that they chose to have, honestly, I don't know what is. And again, these are the exact same parents who harp on child-free people. Reality is, majority of parents didn't want to be parents in the first place. They just didn't realize that it was a choice.
Parents out there who don't even like their kids. That's what one of you left on one of my last child.
You know what's really interesting is that when we're children, obviously, we're not required to tend to our parents' issues and whatnot. are their traumas and so forth. We don't even recognize them as children, but they are there. And the frustrations that come from a parent from their children oftentimes bring out that inner child from the parent. Something that I came across was that, and I'm 36, I just turned 36 last year, and it wasn't until some major events in my life that I realized that any frustrations that I brought about from my parents when I was a child brought out an inner child that I couldn't converse with until I became an adult, and that adult portion of me could have a conversation with that inner child. Everything comes full circle. We all heal and hurt each other. You can only love the way that you know how to love, and you hate the way that you know how to hate. And that can change very drastically or very gradually over time, depending on your circumstances and whatnot. A couple years ago, after one of those hard circumstances, I called up my father and I said, "Hey, Dad, let's have a hard conversation." My grandfather was in the military, and my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad was one of 10 children. They grew up in very changing and harsh environments. And when I did an exercise on writing all these things down and accumulating all this information that my father, just my father alone, not even my entire family on my dad's side, had gone through, you start to see the perspective of pain and suffering and hurt that people in your lives go through. It is different when you can hold compassion with a situation or a person that you didn't necessarily see before. And that's neither right nor wrong. It's just a part of growth. I feel like what makes it difficult to have this conversation between children and their parents is that a lot of times we want to be heard. We're waiting to respond, not necessarily to listen. But if you listen, there's a lot of similarities there. There's a lot of information to be picked up and learned upon. It's not necessarily to say that certain things were good or bad, but you understand them better. When we were kids, maybe it's just that we didn't realize we were watching our parents still grow up too.
There's parents out there who don't even like their kids.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. If you have a chance, please watch the video that I just stitched. I have been a mom for 17 years. I have a 17-year-old and I have a 6-year-old. I am a single mom. I have a very demanding life and career. I also am a mom who suffers from mental health issues, trauma, PTSD, and also being extremely funny. The reason I decided to stitch this video is because when I came across it and I listened to what she was saying, that there's so many parents that get touched out where like they don't want to be touched. Me, especially when I was breastfeeding, there's so many parents that like their kids are breaking their stuff. And yes, it's a minor thing, like she said, but it's a real thing. Now, I know all of those are just like, you know, kind of tossaways, right? For most people, it doesn't mean anything. But for those of you that don't have kids and maybe considering, or for parents, I hope that this just gives you a little insight into what it's like. And also for parents, gives you a little comfort and knowing that you're not alone. When I became a mom at 20, I did not want to be a mom. I did not want to do it. The biological father wasn't around. And luckily, when my older son was 2 years old, I met my now ex-boyfriend, who is his adopted father. And I am so, so grateful that that man came into our lives because he is a fantastic father. And I 100% wouldn't have been able to be where I'm at without him and his family's support. Now, fast forward to when I had my 6-year-old, I was married, but unfortunately that marriage was very abusive, very tumultuous. And at the end of the day, I never anticipated being a single mom again, especially with a demanding career. But I'm so glad that I'm a single mom because it is far better than dealing with what we had to deal with. But nothing prepared me for the constant guilt and the worrying and just the spirals that you go through as a parent. It's not fun. It's exhausting. Duh, right? But I'm constantly worrying, like, How can I parent when I need to be reparented? And I myself didn't have an easy childhood. My parents tried their best, but they were young, and my childhood was not easy. So it's like trying to take my from my childhood and not put it on my kids, while also not trying to overcompensate and raise children that are brats because I'm trying to make up for whatever. Also, knowing that you're shaping an entire human. What? And I know so many people out there are like, well, if it's hard, you shouldn't have had kids. But it's not always that easy. Some of us are promised love and support. But for those of us doing it alone, it's tough.
Please go down in the comment section and share your thought, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversations, so feel free to share your opinion, but please keep it respectful. You don't have to disrespect anybody here for you to air your opinion. Here on this channel, we're very respectful and we're allowed to disagree. So go ahead, share your thoughts, but like I said, don't insult anybody, don't disrespect anybody, okay? So let's get into my own thought. My own thoughts here is that I feel like a lot of African parents, a lot of African, especially African mothers, are on this table. Even though they cannot come out to have this type of conversation, a lot of African women, I'm talking about African, okay, let me take it back, a lot of Nigerian women, because I know more Nigerian women, but I'm talking about that because this is the society I live in, so I feel like I can speak on this. And some of you guys don't know, I'm almost in my 40s and I'm married. Okay, so yeah, don't feel like, okay, she's young, she's not, okay, so let's get that out of the way. So I'm going to talk about Nigerian women, aka African women, in this aspect. I feel like a lot of Nigerian women are on this table because I even know a couple of my friends that are on this table. But they can come out to actually have this conversation to talk about how they don't really like their kids, how they wish if they can take back the hands of time, they will not have kids. A lot of them having kids was being glamorized, and it was more like a dutiful thing to do, like they just feel like it's time to do it, without a lot of them taking into consideration the bigger picture of having kids, what it entails, how it's going to affect you and affect your life alone, you, the parent having the child. A lot of them did not consider all those factors, and now that the children are here, they're just wishing that their life will be a lot easier, a lot better if they didn't even have kids. I have this one friend that she has like 3 kids at that time, or 4, I can't even remember at that time, but I remember having a conversation when she got pregnant. Again, I was like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this to yourself? And she was like, she likes the attention she gets when she's pregnant, that her husband pays her more attention, family members, friends, even when she goes out in public. And I asked her, like, do you know that this pregnancy is still going to end and you will be the only one to face the reality, which is having that child and taking care of that child? Do you realize that whatever dopamine you're getting from being pregnant and the special care, it's not going to last forever? You're going to face all the consequences. Are you ready? And this is the same friend that she cannot stand being in the same space with her other children. Like, she cannot stand it. She rather have a nanny, or she's out going about her business, but or even having a mother around. But she's not the type that is, I won't say she's not nurturing, but I will say she's not a hands-on mom. And for me, it's not as if I'm judging her, but I feel like someone like her, if she had the opportunity to have the conversation or really getting the bigger picture of having kids, she will not have kids. Like, we've had, myself and her, we've had that conversation, and she actually opened up to me that if she can take back the hands of time, knowing what she knows now, she wouldn't have had kids in terms of, but in terms of the attention, she likes the attention still. So I feel like a lot of women and a lot of parents really don't like their kids. Like, I signed up to that because a lot of them did not picture how their life is going to change for bringing these tiny human beings into their life. A lot of them did not anticipate it. They may be hearing it, and that's because society generally, especially in my culture, especially in my environment and society, glamorize it to make it seem like, oh, it's the best thing that can ever happen to you, especially as a woman. Like, it's the best thing that ever happened to you. I have this friend that she's not even my friend, she's more like a friend's friend, that she didn't like what pregnancy did to her body. Like, she was just like, no, that Her children just took away all her beauty. They sucked life out of her. And yes, she may not come out to have that full-blown conversation, but I know that deep down somewhere, she might just feel like, this took my life away. So this is why I'm not telling anybody not to have kids or have kids. No, I'm not telling anybody that. But for me, that before you choose to take that step, be very intentional with your life. Know exactly what you're getting yourself to. Because a lot of parents that got into it, they got into it because that's what society expects of them. Not realizing that the society is not going to be there to go on this journey with them. And they did not realize that this is a lifetime journey. See? Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. We love to read from you. So feel free, share your opinion down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful, like I always say. Like always do here, we're very respectful. Please share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation. So go ahead and share this video, okay? And let me know, do you think parents don't like their kids? With that all said, please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, smash the like button, because that helps YouTube to push out my content, and that will be you supporting your girl. So go ahead and smash the like button, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you are doing everything, commenting, sharing, giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, help me. So if you like this channel and like the topic we discussed on this channel, go ahead and do those beautiful stuff. With that all said, guys, I will see you guys in my next video.